But how does one come to see that they are all of life? As one Zen master said, the entire universe is my personality, is myself. Everything I see, taste, touch, feel is me, but not as an ego, because an ego is fixed. In this sense, you are the flux and flow and manifestation of existence. And in that, there's no exclusivity. There's nothing to be. There's nothing to defend. As I was saying last night, when people said, I have this feeling, and I would say to some, I imagine to many people's minds, something that's quite confusing, which is, you are that feeling. Just the opposite of what you'd say when you're trying to get into the witness. I'm not that feeling. I'm not that thought. I'm not. In unity, you are everything that exists. Everything. 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 Whether it's the farthest galaxy you can see, or whether it's the next feeling or the next thought. The key is, though, you're not exclusively identified. So it's just, now life is arising as this thought. Now life is arising as this feeling. Now life is arising as a tree or a blade of grass or a garbage can or a noise outside, or life is arising as silence. See, there's no exclusivity. There's nothing you have to be then as opposed to something else. So finally, the shoe doesn't pinch. Finally, you don't feel like you have anything to defend. You don't have to be something or somebody. You don't even have to be nobody. You don't have to be awareness as opposed to the world. Life shows up as awareness. Life shows up as a flower, as a vase, as the seat you're sitting in, as the body that you seem to occupy. As Stephen said in his song last night, to start to really see, feel, I am the Buddha. Or Jesus, his way of saying, I and the Father are one, is his way of saying, I am God. I and the Father are one. And yet there is no ego identification, because then he often referred to basically saying, I don't do everything, it's all the Father who does it. That's like his ego's not having exclusive identification with some concept of God. There's lots of ways you could put it. I think the most easy way is just to think in terms of life. We remove the spiritual overtones, the experience of being everything, or seeing God in everything. Sometimes it'll be, I am everything, and the feeling, the sense of it, the intuition, the flash of awakening. And sometimes it might be, if you're hooked up different or you come from a certain tradition, it can be, I see God in everything, everywhere. But only everything, everywhere. Nothing is outside. Nothing is outside. Nothing, nothing, nothing. There is no otherness to God. Ramana, there's only the self. Only. Nothing is apart from the self. Nothing. Well, what about this feeling? I'm afraid. Now appearing life as fear. Nothing is other than it. And you're released from the great push. And you're released from having to relate to everything that arises. When you are what arises, the relationship, the duality collapses. We're no longer in a relationship anymore. There was a wonderful, really short little Zen story of a monk. It always has a monk, because until recently it was really predominantly a monastic tradition. And a monk kind of asked, goes to a master, and he asked, what does an enlightened being do when they're too hot? What do they do when they're too cold? And the Master just says, when it's hot, be hot. When it's cold, be cold. That's great liberation. Right? And if you experienced the unity, you just get this like, God, that's beautiful. Like right now, even I can feel like little hairs standing on end, like, what a beautiful simplicity.